sütemény, mogyoró van az ő tetején. Ilyet én nem kapok, ha ezért zokogok, tudom, sajnálnak az angyalok. Nekem nincs anyukám, apukám, csak egy fél kifli az uzsonnám. Közben jó, édeském, illata száll felém, jaj de jó, a habos sütemény.
Hello and welcome to Questions and Answers with Gabor. I am Nurit, speaking with you today from Budapest, Hungary. And our guest today is Jan Goujon. And she is speaking with us today from Detroit, Michigan. And Jan is a visual artist. And I will be posting her a Facebook page. You'll be able to see her Facebook page if you'd like to see her art. And Jan has been having several private sessions with Gabor. She's been studying with him for a while. And today she's offered to ask questions that we can post on YouTube and other social media sites so that other people can benefit from her journey and from the answers that she receives. Okay. Thank you so much, Jan, for being with us today.
Thank you, Nurit.
And I will bring Gabor.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, I was wondering, since I've been having sessions with you and I really understand what you've been saying, and it's been extremely helpful. And I have noticed the deeper that I go, well, in this process, I've noticed this is something about the mind, and some people call the ego, that the ego or the mind in the past seems to get into an area that's particularly what I would call juicy, in quote, or has a lot of fertilizer. In other words, that would cause the biggest reaction. And it has had in the past seemed to be like a ball on top of a hill that got pushed, and then it started rolling down and getting faster and faster and faster, so that I was, and this was because I was more involved, it was more seductive, or it drew me in more, whereas now it doesn't as much. So it's taken on, I really understand what you said about how the ego takes on spiritual things. Even things that, seem to be like, well, I shouldn't do that because that's not the right thing to do, which is a mind thing, rather than I have no interest in doing that. In other words, resentment at someone or anger at someone. So before it would be, well, that's not going to be effective. That's not the right thing to do. What should I do? And that appeared to be the mind. And now there just is no interest in being angry.
Very useful.
Right. And I think a lot of people, who are spiritual seekers especially, have a lot of ideas about the ego. And, in psychology, I have a degree in psychology. It was the unconscious operating rather than the conscious. So I actually don't even know how that works with all this. So, anything that you'd like to say about that?
Well, what I heard you saying is that you've had all these obstacles in your head. Your mind was telling you spiritual things, and now you're okay with them. You're more relaxed, and you're kind of losing the so-called spiritual ego, which is great progress. The spiritual ego, we can call it what we want, but the spiritual ego seems to be the biggest obstacle for people to overcome. Because what's happening is people who know a lot of things about a lot of things, a lot of esoteric and spiritual knowledge, many different kinds of meditation, and different kinds of group studies, etc., they already listening to a simple teaching with an existing template.
Mm.
So if I have a spiritual ego, I'm not actually listening to what someone is saying. I'm listening to how whatever that person is saying fits into my current reality. I'm listening to how what I'm already doing is, of course, fine, how it will continue. I'm listening for continuity and approval of myself. Oh, yeah, I'm already doing that. Yes, that's great. Or, oh, yeah, I'm doing that kind of meditation. I'm correct. So now the mind, in its limited functioning, it's listening for self-approval. And it adds more and more information when, in fact, the whole idea is to have less and less information. As you know from our conversations, we actually, go ahead.
Well, I've actually even heard a few people, and say that can the spiritual ego be an actor? Like, I already am awake, and this is what I did, and there's a sense that that's not the case. I have an intuitive sense that that's not the case. So is the ego that clever?
Say it again. Is the ego what clever?
When people say there have been a few people that I know casually that have said they are already awake through a certain process.
Right.
But in their conversation, it does not appear to be that.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Right. From that standpoint, can the mind be masquerade as being awakened?
Yes.
Does it have that capability? Wow.
Yeah, it's actually a very good question. Well, all of your questions are very good. Yes, absolutely. The mind can throw in all kinds of obstacles and or masquerade in ourselves into any position. The mind can pretend to have inner peace. The mind can pretend to have extensive knowledge. Usually, if someone says that they are aware or are enlightened, and they sort of try to advertise it, they usually are not, but not always.
Mm.
That's if a person is capable of paying attention to the inner body, let's call it that, capable of doing inner attention, and capable of staying there, that's an awake person. That's simple. Just to say that I'm awake, that doesn't make me awake.
Well, there are people, including me. I mean, I've had what some people might call shifts, where I've actually experienced for maybe 15 minutes, maybe half an hour. One time 30 years ago, it was almost a week of being present, and it left.
Yeah.
And
it's not awakening is not an experience in the mind. Sometimes the mind can slow down, and you can have a really wonderful, relaxed, high experience. Sometimes you could have what we call a Kundalini experience, which is
right.
You kind of laugh and cry at the same time. It happened to me too. And then, of course, because it feels so good, the mind says, "Oh my God, I'm present. This must be heaven. This must be how enlightenment is. This must be how awareness is." No, no, that's the mystified version of awareness. That's the mind's concept of awareness. That's how the mind would like to see it. Let's accumulate the good feelings with Kundalini experiences, and let's go back to what I felt 20 years ago. Oh my God, that felt really good, and continue. The mind would love to have a continuation of good feelings of some kind. And say, okay, I'm now continuing on that path. And eventually I get there. And that's the problem with many people, is that they are searching for the continuity to the good feeling and piling up good feelings by meditating more, waiting for a Kundalini experience, or actually trying to trigger it, cleaning up chakras in anticipation of the Kundalini experience. So piling up good deeds, good feelings.
Right.
That's the mind's idea of awakening.
I understand. Yeah.
The reason I'm laughing is not because to put those people down. On the contrary,
Right.
if the amount of effort they are putting in pretending to be aware, they could actually be really aware.
I really get that now.
It's like, let's take the amount of energy and focus and allocation to pretending that I'm aware and trying to behave enlightened or trying to pile up good feelings.
Right.
If someone allocated the fraction of this focus energy into actually focusing the right way, they actually would be aware.
Absolutely. I'm just astonished. Yeah.
And many people are totally convinced that we just gonna continue and meditate. I'm gonna meditate myself and chant myself to enlightenment. And the more mystical, the better. The more mystical my guru is, the better. The more mystical the vocabulary is, the more mystical the service or the ceremony is, the better. And it's all bullshit. I mean, it's total 100% lie.
Well, I think I was taking these situations and the mind was, oh, okay, well, now I know a little bit of that, so I'll meditate more and get the same effect. Because meditation does help people lower their blood pressure, calm down, but it's from a point of the mind rather than going within.
This is one of the biggest questions, is always meditation. And I hate to say it, but meditation seems to be one of the greatest obstacles to awareness. Because meditation is in time. There's a beginning and an end, and have kind of usually have a standard practice, a standard mantra, a standard something.
Right.
It's the mind's idea of awareness practice. It's not actually awareness practice. It's the mind idea of an awareness practice or awakening practice. And so I begin and I end, and the more I do it, the better, because of course the mind believes that more is better. And the meditation has a memory in the mind. So now I have an expectation of feeling as good as I felt yesterday. Or I remember 5 years ago it felt like this, and today it feels like this. And so it's a standardized process, usually, which is done by many people, and people are expecting a continuity of something, the piling up of something. And that absolutely assures that you will not get there, quote unquote. It's now,
Right.
There is, as you know, we practiced it long enough, that is this moment, which is very different than this other moment. It's not coming from memory. It's not coming from a practice that is stained by time. Is meditation bad? No. It's fabulous. It calms you down and all that. But it's not leading to awakening.
Right.
I hate saying that because most of the wonderful people I know, they meditate. And
right.
I'm not against meditation. I'm just saying, if you, again, put the same effort and energy into actually being present and learn how to be present, You would actually wake up and you don't need to meditate anymore. So hope I made it clear.
Thank you, Gabor, and thank you, Jenna. It was a wonderful question. And I hope you all enjoy the question and the answer, and stay tuned for the next one.
Édes lehet az a krémes, mit a lányok esznek, de nekem nem vesznek. Ezért, hogyha álmodik a babszika, egy színarany taxiba beleül is a mennyekbe száll. Ottan mennyországi boltba van sok ezer torta, és nem kell állni sorba. Sütemény csak annak szabad ennie, akinek nincs senkie, aki járva is egy